folks. Welcome to Just Come Over. This is one of your hosts, 80. And I am now an officially card-carrying member of the Democratic Socialists of America as of this week.
Oh. Wow. I'm Emily. Hello. Another one of your hosts. And I really like pasta.
Me too.
It's so good.
Hello, I am Mel, and I rode in a Tesla yesterday.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah, it was really cool. Yeah. First time ever in a Tesla, and my partner's looking into purchasing one, so it was really cool. There's a thing called karaoke.
Were you in a glass case of emotion?
It was literally in a very secure, technologically advanced case of emotions, but it was pretty cool. Have you peeps ever been in a Tesla before?
No. I've just looked at it from afar.
Well, you have stock in it.
I do.
Oh, yeah.
I do have stock in Tesla. Please, Elon, maybe some money. Thank you. Mama needs some money.
I've never purchased stock before. I have Bitcoin.
Oh.
But I mean, that's not
There's
really...
lots of apps out there now, like Robinhood, Stash, Acorns. It just kind of depends if you want to do individual stocks or ETFs.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
What does ET have to do with anything? Other than traumatizing most of my fucking childhood, that asshole.
He likes M&Ms and he wants you to phone home.
Reese's Pieces.
It's been such a long
Reese's
time
Pieces.
since I've seen that movie.
I've never seen it other than when I was a wee tot. Like I was probably like 3. My babysitter put it on for all the kiddos, thinking, it's a wholesome family movie. Sat me down with like some apple slices and a juice box, ready to have a good old time. And then there's a fucking alien screaming through the forest.
Yeah.
I turned around immediately and like shoved my little head in some pillows and did not reemerge for the entirety of the movie. Like, fuck that.
The biggest thing that I remember any reference of E.T. was at Universal Studios, where the Mummy is now, used to be the E.T. ride. And you would bicycle through the forest with a little E.T. animatronic in front of you.
Why
and
did
so
they
it'd be
get
a pack of
because
4.
it's horror.
Yeah, and you would go through the movie and stuff like that. It was cool, but it was also terrifying because I was like, there's no floor?
Like an actual, like you had pedals?
Yeah, they're little pedals that you could do, but like it was like kind of like that concept of the Peter Pan ride at Disneyland, where you like get in a ship and it holds from the top, doesn't hold
Or the
from
Star
the
Wars
bottom.
ride?
Oh,
Yeah,
gotcha.
yeah, which is pretty cool. So
Interesting.
Oh, yeah.
I want that.
He wants that. I mean, we can't go to anything currently.
I know.
Which, yeah, so Mel...
Thanks, COVID.
Oh my gosh. For so many things. Mel, you've been a annual pass holder for Disney for how long? Your entire life?
it feels like it. I had an annual pass when I was younger with my family at Disneyland. It wasn't, I started purchasing my own pass when I was 18, I think 18 or 19. And then every year I've, bought a annual pass or renewed it or something like that. But there was one point in my life, this is when I was just working and going to conventions because I used to cosplay, and there was a point in my life where I had a Disneyland, Universal, and Six Flags pass all at the same time. I think I was 23 or 22.
Dang.
That was fun. I did a lot of stuff when I was in my early 20s.
Oh, that's a golden time. I think anyone, that's a pretty golden time.
Yeah, you don't know it's a golden time until it's already passed.
That's definitely true.
That's the frustrating part.
True.
Oh my. Yeah, I was definitely very against annual passes, especially for Disney, because I'm like, it's ultimate capitalist culture. It's bullshit. Why do I need to do this? And you're the one definitely that invited me and let's give it a shot, and went for a friend's birthday. Sure. For a birthday. Fine. And then when I realized it was all just drinking and hanging out with your friends, because you can drink. Do people know that you can drink in California Adventure?
It's just an adult bar. All of California Adventure is just an adult bar.
Right. It's you drink, you go on Guardians of the Galaxy and the Incredicoaster, and you
then get off and you drink again.
absolutely bond with your homies. It's a good old time.
You learn to time your beer with the wait times of your ride.
That too, waiting in line while
Get
you
in the
drink.
fast track. You're like, y'all, we have 55 minutes. Let's circle back to wherever, Lamplight or something. Let's
You
go
know
get
she
drunk.
knows.
She knows. There's the plan.
Let's
the
go
path.
get drunk.
I miss it. I'm glad that it's closed right now, but I definitely miss the being able to go to a theme park and just take a day off from
Reality. Absolutely. Yeah, that's the thing too. It's very contained. Just the day that you're there, that's all that exists for a moment.
Yeah.
And I think that escapism, it's confined. There's just that period of time where you're just with your friends. So you go back to reality immediately. It's not dangerous escapism. It's just like a nice little delightful moment.
Would you snap back to reality?
Oh, there goes
noise. I'm sorry.
I've recently heard amongst the pansexual community that they're not just pansexuals, they're now punsexuals.
Oh no, get out.
It's not real, but I think it's
okay.
It's maybe people that
Because you're
are
inviting
coming out.
somebody into that realm. I don't know if you want that somebody in there.
No, but I was thinking, you definitely could benefit from some pansexuals in your life.
Some punsexuals, yes, totally. Just some sexuals. That would be too much. Yeah. Okay. Cool.
No prefix needed.
No. No comment. So last Tuesday when we were playing TTS games,
Tabletop Simulator.
yes, Tabletop Simulator. Somebody, I can't remember whom, we were talking about. I don't know how we got on this conversation. But it's our group, so why wouldn't we? There's always Metamucil, Kegels, sexual, everything.
We hit these points
We
consistently.
talked about how do you know if somebody's dick is hard? And the answer was like throw a rock at it or something. What? I wish I could remember the full
phallic
context of it. And I immediately called them out of like, to figure out if a dick is hard or like how strong your dick is, like why would you throw a rock at it?
Well, clearly to figure out how strong a dick is, it has to lift weights, right?
I guess.
That dick is swole.
I don't. Yes, it.
Oh
Oh
god.
no!
than
Oh
one.
no! I've done things to Emily that I didn't intend, or did I?
That's funny.
Yes, we do play a lot of Tabletop Simulator. I think, Tabletop Simulator can be educational, as you mentioned. I think
Yes.
we've learned some folks on Kegels. Some of our game friends. We learned them. We learned.
You learned how to Kegel through some friends on tabletop?
No.
we
I
taught.
mean,
Like
we
they
taught.
learned
Oh, what it was?
Yeah.
what it was.
Oh,
Some
okay.
people didn't know.
Really?
For the listeners at home, Kegels are when
pelvic floor
when
exercise.
You constrict, contract. How do you?
You contract and release your pelvic floor muscles to tighten
Squeeze.
them. Men and
Squeeze.
women or theys can.
Any anatomy.
Yes, any anatomy can do them.
Yeah. So there you go. If you didn't know, now you know. We found some people that didn't know, and now their pelvic floor is going to be swole as well. Wait, is that bad? Do we not? I mean, a swollen pelvic floor sounds like you need a pap smear. I'm not too sure. I'm not a megal expert.
Is that what they call them? You're an expert Kegler? Or what would you? A master Kegel?
Oh, I love that one.
What did it was I
can't recall,
lost.
but all of our Jackbox answers now include Kegels.
Kegels or Metamucil.
Yeah, that's definitely. I think that's something that we have a little bit of inside jokes with our friends that we hang out with outside of the podcast. Mm-hmm. I think that's true. I'd like to hear a lot of people's inside jokes with their friends.
Yeah,
I want to hear that.
I like that.
Do you have like a certain amount of inside jokes? Like you guys know Val and I have like old inside jokes, probably like 4 or 5. The only ones that we all just like we recycle through. Mm-hmm. Do you guys have like a solid like 5 or 6 or just 1 or 2 with like your friends?
I don't know.
I think I don't know about numbers, but I do feel like we have a story about one of our friends that threw up and almost got kicked out of Disneyland by Disney police.
Oh, yes, I remember that time.
Yes, you were there.
And then one of our friends, we got pretty much followed and chased out of Disneyland because they drank too much.
Absolutely. And I think that comes up pretty frequently. And when that friend is a little tipsy, we're like, okay, don't get us kicked out by Disney police.
Yeah.
So I think it's more board of experience, things like that.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, for sure. It's definitely experiences.
I think a lot of it end up being references, like a lot of.
Well, you guys are on Tabletop Simulator way more than I am, so
Absolutely.
like half the time I'm like, I didn't even know that you guys talking. I was not
because we try to play games, but it always ends up just being these random side conversations that we're having, and then we're like, oh shit, it's somebody's turn. It's like 30 minutes later.
Yes, exactly.
That's pretty much how I've been still playing D&D or Pathfinder 2 with my other podcast, Loaded Dice Rollers, and
Loaded Dose.
Loaded Dose Rollers. And it's so funny because like now we jump on at like 7 and we don't really play until like 8:30 because we're just like shooting the shit like the entire time. So we actually took a improv class.
Ooh.
Our DM got us a group improv class that we did yesterday, so that was a lot of fun being able to.
Why is this the first time hearing about it?
It just happened yesterday, so I didn't just remembered it, but it was pretty cool. It's the first time that I did like an improv class with professional comedian and stuff like that.
That's
through
exciting.
Zoom, and it was fun to kind of like see all the different kinds of games that we played.
Did you do the yes and?
We did like a different kind. So one was like how much do you pay attention? So you spend 1 minute talking about your life and your partner has to repeat it and see how much that they were paying attention to be able to repeat it. And it was really cool to be able to, one, learn more about, like all the people that I've been playing with. And then two, it's a cool way that as I was listening, like how I was able to retain the information was more like specific key points of words that they said that I like retained the individual words. So like tech college, that was easier for me to remember the beginning and after. And like one of the other players was able to remember because they were playing it back as like a movie in their brain to be able to do it.
Nice.
So it was a cool kind of like game for that. And then we did the question game, if you guys ever did the question game. So I would ask
questions.
you can only say
and
questions.
respond in questions.
Emily, have you played the game?
Hey, 80, why is your hair green?
Emily, why is your sweater green?
Mel, why are your headphones pink?
These headphones?
The blue ones down there.
See, that's a statement. Got you.
Oh god.
So that's the game. It's like being able to
it
they play it on Whose Line Is It Anyway? So that's like a fun like warm up to kind of be able to kind of get yourself out of it and be able to like flow a different way that you're talking. And then the other one that we did was the one word story. So you'd say like, I then went to and everyone would say a different word and like do a story, build off of each other, but you have to pay attention, but also think on your feet to be able to be like, I have to make a cohesive sentence. Like, am I going to say a verb and noun? Like
Making sense.
So that was really cool. It was like an hour long and we were all able to go ahead and play all those different games. So it was like a nice concept of warming up to, getting ready to play like an improv kind of thing.
That's so cool. And also I like the fact that, like you said, you learned about someone that the way that they retain information is by watching it as a movie in their head. That's like really intimate to know that.
Yeah. It was cool because like it was a nice opportunity because I've been playing with Pathfinder and recording a podcast with them for like almost 2 years now, and we're about to go into season 2. And so now that I'm comfortable playing with them and like we have a more cohesive family, I'm like, if you think about it right now, like I talk to my Pathfinder group almost as much as I talk to my friend group, So it's interesting to be able to, go into this next season and be able to, both you guys are rocking back and forth. So.
Habit. I'm a fidgeter.
It was just funny because you guys were like in sync as I'm talking to you. But
Nice.
it was pretty cool to be able to experience their thought process for when we go into the next season, being like, I know that this person needs to put all of their focus onto what someone's saying, or someone's able to, bounce back and forth with like a conversation as like the yes and very easily. So it's nice to be able to know their opportunities and like what they're really good at for that kind of stuff.
That's super partnership.
Nice.
I like, so 2 years, dang. I think we, it's sort of something for us as your friends that happens in the background. Like, we know you play, we schedule around when you play sometimes for things, but also 2 years is remembering where Emily and I were, your Colin.
Oh yeah, you guys are some of the first people that were in the.
Hey Mel, I heard you like peas.
Gosh. Mel does not.
First time caller, long time listener. This one's for Mel.
I like that you took the opportunity to antagonize Mel, knowing that she hates peas.
Oh, absolutely. Peas are delicious.
Yes.
Oh man, but we have come a far, or you have come a far way. But it's interesting to see, like, okay, that was the tender introduction. It also gives me a little mindset for what we were doing. It's like, okay, everyone starts somewhere.
Yeah, I mean, like, it was pretty. I mean, half of the guys there are like all in film industries and like producers and writers and directors and stuff like that. And so like they're very LA. So like our DM has his own production company that he's like running this out of. So it's interesting to be able to now have like my own mini little like version of it too. But like now I understand it's nicer for my DM to be able to be like, when we talk, like try and say less, like that's why he got us the improv thing, because people ramble or there's like awkward silences or people say like a lot.
Yes.
And it's harder to edit around it rather than silence.
Yeah.
It's so much easier because people replace to fill in the silence.
Oh, for sure.
But it's a lot easier to be able to edit out just pausing.
Well, because you can see in like the actual volume, like I would imagine silence with deadline. You're like, all right, let me just take that out.
Yeah, it makes it easy. Emily does that a lot, where she thinks what she's about to say instead of filling it out with a filibuster of words like what I usually do.
Yes.
And so Emily's is great to be able to edit, because I just have to like just edit 4 or 5 milliseconds of space, but it sounds like a cohesive conversation that she's saying, but it really took like 2 minutes.
It's all facade. I'm not a cohesive human in the slightest bit. Hot Mess Express over here.
Like Hot Mess Express.
Toot toot.
I got a one-way ticket to the Hot Mess Express.
All aboard.
Literally. Well, there I go. See, I said However, Emily, you have a little habit, and it's very Emily just to elongate that.
Yeah, that happens a lot too.
Because I'm awkward AF. That's just.
Well, I'm gonna put more attention on Emily. So we heard What's New with Mel. She just did an improv and wrote in a Tesla, which is dope.
Right.
Emily, what's new with you?
What's new with me?
Sure.
A whole lot of nothing.
You just got a license, you said.
Oh, listen.
Side licenses though. Oh, like being able to
so
build
let's
up a shop.
let's back this up.
That's gonna be a bitch to edit.
You're welcome.
I'm kidding.
Any hoodle. I took some coursework to get a license for accidental and life insurance in September, when I thought I was going to get a job with a company, and passed the exam, did all the background checks, did all of the fingerprinting and everything, did the rigmarole jumping through hoops that this company wanted me to do, and it stagnated, and there was like a month of dead where I heard nothing. I kept asking my supervisor, who was bouncing me around to other people, like what was going on. So around the time that I was moving from my apartment to the house that I'm in now, I contacted my supervisor and said, I don't think that this is going to work out for me. I've been doing this for 2 months now, and there's no, real progress on what's going on here. And I still have not heard anything about my license. And I really can't invest any more money in this right now, considering I've been unemployed since May. So thanks, but like, I need to move on. And the response was, textbook, fill in the blank, like edit your name and send it off sort of stuff. So I kind of forgot about it, but then our friend Billy got me a gag gift as part of our Secret Santa thing that we did of a shirt that says life insurance agent and super mom. Which like brought it back up in my head, and I was like, oh man, not only am I not an insurance agent, I'm absolutely not a mom. But let me check on that license. So
Nice.
I contacted the California Department of Insurance and I sent them a nice little email because I didn't want to wait online for God knows how long trying to get an answer, or on the phone trying to get an answer. And out of nowhere, in like a turnaround of about 18 hours, I finally got my license that I should have had in September. So now I have a license to sell accident something in life. Yeah,
I think Emily, you've spent a lot of different, during the COVID era, during quarantine, you've been putting a lot of things in your head and trying to get your CV up and shiny. You did mention that we did a Secret Santa with our friend group, so I think that's something a lot of folks, had to contend with. We did a Zoom Secret Santa, so trying to keep all together. And I think, so we just finished the holidays. This is our first episode in the year 2021. We we're here.
2020. We had 6 days, ladies.
2021, 2020.
6 days.
Went home, put a wig on, and came back out. That's what happened.
A fake mustache.
6.
Literally.
6 days.
6.
That's
my
all we
gosh.
had.
So Mel kept telling us advice for 2021. It was basically to have no expectations, right? Like,
No, it was, we're not going to say 2021 is our year. Fuck that. What we're going to do is we're all going to walk in quietly. No one touch anything. And we'll see how it goes. Obviously, white supremacists touched everything in the Capitol.
I rubbed.
they tend to touch everything. They're real handsy folks. So here we are. We are we're recording now on January 10th, and we had to take some time. I think we were actually originally supposed to record that day, but no, not possible. I think it would have just been yelling and crying.
Yeah,
Yelling and crying, shaking.
Yeah,
slightly.
I texted the ladies and I was like, I don't feel good. I just don't.
Being from that area, like I was not in the mental headspace to really articulate anything or be funny or perform. No. Because, thankfully, and I know this comes from a place of privilege, so let me just preface it with that. But thankfully, every human that I know that lives there or in the area is either work from home or has the unfortunate thing that happened to me of being furloughed and or laid off. So thankfully they weren't there, but these people fucked with my home and I was not in the best headspace.
Absolutely. I think it's jarring. Absolutely. And it's mind-boggling to actually come to terms with the fact that there was a white supremacist attempted coup of the U.S. Capitol in our soil. Like, that's one of the things that the United States is very, touts a lot, is that we don't have attacks on our soil, right? We don't have war on our soil. I mean, not to even start to unpack what we do in other lands,
right?
How we influence and arm. Fuck. Okay, yeah. Can't go down that path right now. We don't have all day. We don't have 10 days.
But not in this century have we had our leader in sight.
There's so much. I wasn't even thinking about that part yet. Obviously, that's one of the most upsetting factors. But just to look, a lot of folks out there saying that if the United States saw what the United States is doing to itself, we would invade. And I think that's very much the precedent, right? Like this, I don't know. We're, like you're talking about, we're very privileged in the fact that we haven't really had to think about this, or maybe it's just that we've been naive to not think about this. And that's what, there's something very fragile and vulnerable about having that naivete shattered.
Yes, totally.
Ugh.
It's just a lot. And I still don't really have the capacity to really unpack this, but this man needs to be removed from office immediately. And thankfully, I have seen on a lot of the news media that more and more Republicans are coming out against him and saying that impeachment is a real possibility. And not just impeachment, but removal from office, because impeachment is what the House does, and then removal from office is the trial that the Senate decides on. So obviously Mr. Trump was acquitted last year in the Senate, so he was impeached but not removed from office. But this needs to happen, and it doesn't matter that he only has 11 days left in office now, and also the fact that Mr. Pence is thinking of the 25th Amendment still being on the table. Now, whether or not the cabinet stays intact enough to do that, because he needs 8 votes with that, that's a whole nother thing. But to see people, whether, let's take off the fact that these people were towing the line for this man for so long and now they're flipping on the 11th hour. Like, that's something we can unpack and deal with at a later time and date. But the fact that they are cognizant now, whether or not they're doing it to save face or they're actually like, oh crap, I've seen the error of my ways, we need to remove this man from office immediately, because then he will not be able to hold any sort of public office ever.
Yeah, so that's a really great point. It's not toothless, basically. Like, there is a purpose to look at, like you're saying, there's so little time left. Why would we even do this? So aside from not being able to hold office, he loses a lot of benefits from his presidency, right? You might have more details about that.
He will no longer have his stipend. I believe it's $200 million a year. He will no longer have his
full details Secret Service.
His full details of Secret Service. He will no longer have briefings about anything that's going on foreign or domestic. He will no longer have any of the travel expenses covered.
Oh, to feel that your tax dollars would be going towards his numerous trips to Mar-a-Lago. Fuck that.
Yeah.
Fuck. All right, so that's our hope right now, right? That's
what
we're shooting for.
His Twitter got shut down.
He's been banned from basically every single social media. But now he's doing exactly what people thought he would, and he's pulling like a Silvio Berlusconi or a Rupert Murdoch, and he wants to make his own
social media platform.
Yeah, with news and social media and all of this, and I'm just like, go to Parler and just die.
You know who also did that? Tiger King. He created his own TV show, his own social media platform.
And isn't he in jail now?
Yeah, for attempted murder.
Yeah.
His Twitter it's been the quietest 2-3 days
hopefully,
from that, which is nice.
I mean, hopefully none of that will happen, because even say he doesn't get removed from office, if he can get arrested for inciting sedition and treason and forcefully doing all of these federal offenses, not to mention that the Iranian government has put out a warrant for his arrest from Interpol for the death of that military guy.
Last year.
Can we he needs to rot in a maximum security isolated cell for the rest of his life.
They can get Epstein. They can get Trump.
I mean, Epstein offed himself.
Yeah. But they were still able to arrest him and put him in jail.
Yeah.
So hopefully jail. And I think ultimately the goal of the attempted coup, it's happening anyway.
Oh, absolutely. Because now they're fracturing the party, and then there's going to be the GOP is going to have to rebrand themselves, and then there's going to be the Trump, whatever that it's going to be called.
I mean, they've been trying that with like the Lincoln Project and the Never Trumper GOP.
But even the Lincoln Project is like, whoa, this is not what we signed up for. Like the fact that on MSNBC they're having Lincoln Project people come on, and you like for a Lincoln Project person to go on MSNBC, like they're probably like, oh, I didn't think it was going to be this bad. Whoops.
So Biden is going to be declared president anyway.
Yeah, sooner than later.
Yay.
I mean, a tepid yay. Like, I'm glad that, there wasn't really an alternative at that point. I'm not terribly thrilled about basically somebody that's a centrist. But that's
better than what we got. Better than what we got.
Jinx. Although you have to keep talking for the rest of the pod.
It's better what we got, and let's focus on what's gonna happen, after that. No one touch anything.
But also I really am so grateful for the voters of Georgia. Thank you. Thank you, voters of Georgia.
We didn't even get that day
Thank
to
you,
celebrate.
voters
we
of
didn't get that
Georgia.
day to celebrate.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
We can make some real progress because we have control over the House, the Senate, and the presidency. We can make some real progress and hopefully slowly but surely unbrainwash these folk who think that doing the good for the common good will ruin their lives. We can hopefully slowly show them that, hey, it's not bad.
I mean,
to
if we
care
could just
for
get
your
like
people.
a cult deprogrammer to
Right.
run a 24-hour,
Like, I feel like
24/7 TV station
in the
free, I
next
don't know.
like year, you know, like how there's tons of Nexium like documentaries coming out now. There's going to be a whole thing about like the Trump cult and how like
for
people
sure.
people were like, we this, that, and the other, and now we like got out of it, and oh, holy crap, like what was going on? Except like they weren't being branded, and hopefully it's not a sex
Oh
cult,
my
but like you
God.
never know.
Well, I mean, there are lots of pictures of Donald Trump with, what's her name? Epstein's girlfriend.
Oh yeah. I mean, they were biffles, so
But yeah, so definitely steps ahead. That's
We'll
exciting.
just look forward to 2021 and
No looking forward to 2021.
like it's not. But I think you had some questions.
questions
But
time.
yeah, I would definitely say moving ahead to progress. You had asked some folks about their goals.
I did, yes. So thank you. As we mentioned before, we were going to have this ongoing segment where we ask you fine folk for either questions for us or some answers to some questions. So the first
so definitely
one,
hit us up on social media, and these
Yes.
questions are primarily coming from Instagram.
Yes.
It's just sort of the platform that most folks are on with us.
Mm-hmm.
So follow us on Instagram, justcomeoverpod, at justcomeoverpod. That's where you can get
Podcast.
in on this Just Come Over podcast.
Yes.
Our email is justcomeoverpod.
Oh, thank you. Yes. I'm getting mixed around. But that is where you can respond and take part in this, because we definitely want to invite you into the conversation.
totally. So yes, one of the questions posed was, what are some goals you've set for yourself? And an answer was continuing to stay alive in 2021. Yes, absolutely.
Oh, we laugh, but it is a lofty goal.
Right? And
Yeah.
you know, to take some time for yourself, stop wearing yourself down, taking care of
Everyone else. first.
everyone else first.
Was that from you, Emily?
That was not for me. Mine was get a job, take time for myself, be more kind to myself, and trying not to sweat the small stuff.
Yes. Oh.
Read one book a year, or read one book a week this year.
That's wild. I can't even finish. I was going back to back with books, and now I'm like, I can't even finish a book.
Fatigue, book fatigue. Lose weight, and that's always, you know, that's absolutely helpful for like people's mental state too. If
Absolutely.
Oh, endorphins are good, but
Yes.
also just sort of like whatever it takes to be comfortable in your skin.
Totally.
Great. Hopefully not trying to meet any specific beauty standards, but just be comfortable in your skin.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And then going off of that one, we actually posed a question of, why don't y'all ask us a question? So the first one we had is,
So I would say, oh, so sorry not to interrupt, but Mel and I haven't seen these.
No.
Yeah, Emily is our social media person, so I'm like, oh, we did. We have questions.
yes. So if you could travel back to live in any decade, which would it be and why? This one's from my friend Keely. She's Australian. Hi, Keely.
Hi, Keely. Ooh. So I'm brown, and I'm queer. That question is a little loaded for me.
Future? Can it be the future?
In the future.
It's any decade.
I would say, despite those things being difficult, I do think that truncates my options as far as survival. But I love the 90s. I was a little tot in the 90s. And I definitely, it sucked because I was a tot. I got to see my sister sort of wearing the flannel and listening to cool music. And then by the time I was of age to be cool or try to be cool, none of that stuff was around. And then now it's definitely coming back with the Gen Z folks. And I don't even give a fuck. I'm like, yes, this is back. I'm doing it.
Yes.
But I would have loved, I think there was a lot of optimism. Like things were still supremely fucked up. We didn't really have the internet or anything like that really accessible. So there were some drawbacks, but I think it would have been really cool to have had the illusion of the Clinton hope, which we know, there was a lot of issue there now after the fact, but have that hope, have the music. And I think in a pre 9/11 world, there was definitely a bigger push for diversity. I think
Totally.
there was, just growing up, it felt like it was, I don't know, much more peaceful. And I could just be the idealistic eyes of a little kid, but it seemed that way. And then post 9/11 with all of the xenophobia and just sort of becoming more reactionary and divisive. Although I hate that fucking word. So going back to that, I think I would go back to that era
Totally.
personally.
Nice. Mel?
Most of the eras for multiple different specific reasons, but for specific things, I like 1920s music. I listen to a lot of that music. And I would say, like, for fashion, like, I would love, like, the 1950s. Just being able, like, the explosion of, like, pinup and that kind of era, and the cars were beautiful. Like, I think in the 50s, like, just the general concept of what the future could have been is so widely different, where they were thinking there were going to be robots and houses and, it's such a interesting and creative era that had, it just changed so dramatically from where we are now. But, I think it was a boom for just a different change of what people's perspective of what the future would be. So,
I think that's a really huge and whole encompassing answer. When you said 50s, I know swing is a little bit more 40s, but you're such a dancer, I could definitely see you swinging.
Yeah.
Well, swing dancing, I should specify. I mean, swinging that way was much more the 70s.
I like the dancing and stuff like that, but
it's wild. I would live in the 80s.
Yeah.
The fashion, new wave music, all of the things.
You know what's interesting? It's a lot of fashion and music is the only reason why we would want to.
That's
big response. I mean, not particularly yours, because you want to stay alive. But
yeah,
I would have been burnt.
I also I don't know. Similar to what you said, maybe it was the naivete, but it just seemed taking Reagan out of the equation. It seemed more the ability to diversify wasn't like forced or poo-pooed. Because like growing up in the 90s, like you mentioned, you grew up in Southern California in the desert. You're brown, you're queer. I grew up in Southern Texas, where like I had maybe 5 white friends. Anybody else was any other ethnicity, race, whatever the case may be. And maybe it was that naivete of growing up that way. But yeah, post 9/11, you definitely pay attention to it more. But I don't know, in the 80s, everybody was just in their feelings and like mopey or like bouncing around and
arcades.
I'm like, are you just listening to Erasure the whole time?
No, not Erasure. No, but like, I don't know, just all the fun patterns. Like I still wear that shit anyways.
You do. You did mention it.
I do it anyways, so.
Yeah, I think that comes back around.
What other questions? Or comments?
Well, there's one more thing, I think. And we will, let me preface this. I'm saving all of these, so we will definitely either answer them on our Instagram or we will address them
This
on
isn't going away.
episode.
We're going to come back.
No.
If we didn't get to your question or answer, we're going to come back.
Questions from a post. So the last thing I'd like to leave you with is a little gem from my friend Meyer. I said, tell us a bad joke.
Yes.
Oh, no.
I love a bad joke.
Here we go. Ready. A pirate walks into a bar with a steering wheel sticking out of his trousers. Bartender asks if it feels uncomfortable. Pirate mournfully responds, "Yar, it's driving me nuts." But thanks, Meyer.
That's so funny.
Thanks.
Nice. That was a nice little joke. Cool. So I think one of the last things that we do want to talk about is that I think, Adi, if you can talk about it.
Yeah, thanks. So yeah, thank you so much. Definitely keep sending those. Love the feedback. Love anything you send our way. Thank you. In that vein, follow us on social media, definitely, especially Instagram, Facebook, Just Come Over Podcast. Find us. With the Just Come Over Podcast Instagram in particular, on Wednesday, January 13th, we're going to be making a post. You're going to see a Just Come Over mug. So we
have mugs.
Yeah. Merch. Okay. Merch. I got lost. I couldn't stop myself.
She got lost in the sauce.
Oh, yeah. I got lost in the merch sauce. We have merch now. We have a Just Come Over Podcast mug. We're gonna be doing a little giveaway. So you'll see a post with Just Come Over Podcast mug and a $25 Visa vanilla card.
Oh, what now?
Hey, what? Monies?
Ooh.
Monies.
Yeah.
On that post, we're going to have the criteria of as long as you follow us on our Instagram and tag 3 friends, you've entered yourself into the the raffle.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
So we'll be choosing a winner at random. There you can enter as much as you want, that as long as you follow us, and as long as you tag 3 friends.
More friends, the more
more
entries
chances
that
to
you get.
win.
And it's free money, guys. You might, mine as well.
Right?
It's
And
free money.
Who doesn't love a mug?
Yeah.
It's our logo
Yeah.
on the mug, so you get to drink your tea, sip your tea, staring at our faces, maybe.
Yeah.
You can spill the tea
Ooh,
with our faces.
definitely.
Oh, that's dope.
I'm excited. Maybe next episode or the following episode, we'll announce it on the podcast, and maybe that person can jump on for a few minutes and chat with us. I think that would be pretty cool.
Absolutely love that. If you're a fan of the pod, if you like us at all, join us. We definitely.
Yes.
I think that would be pretty cool.
We're trying to finalize our upcoming layout of guests. I think we are almost nailing down our first one.
Yeah, and we figured out how to do it. I mean, we're in a new setup too, where we all have our own mics.
Yes, it's exciting. So yeah, if you want to come along and be in a conversation with us, drop us a line on our Gmail or shoot us a DM on one of our social media platforms. We'd love to have you on.
Absolutely. We want to involve you as much as possible. Definitely respond to the questions that we post there. So we're going to have a giveaway. We want you to come in on that. We're finalizing our guests. We're going to have folks on. We want you to be one of them. If you're interested, hit us up.
And thanks for listening to
Just
Come
Over.
Play the music.
Play it.
Okay, bye.
Dance after. Everybody.